My name is Luke, and I work as a sales manager for a mid-sized company in Chicago. My wife Melinda works as a nurse at the local hospital. We've been married for 8 years and I thought I knew her inside and out. It all started 3 months ago when a new employee joined our company, Jennifer. Young, beautiful, intelligent. At first, we just talked about work, but gradually our conversations became more personal. I told her about my problems at home. Melinda had become cold and distant lately. Jennifer listened to me with understanding and soon we began a relationship. I know it was wrong, but I felt alive for the first time in years. We met secretly. I lied to my wife about working overtime. I convinced myself that what Melinda didn't know wouldn't hurt her. But I was so terribly wrong about everything. The guilt was eating me alive, but I couldn't stop. Jennifer made me feel appreciated, wanted. She listened to my dreams, my fears, my frustrations about work and marriage. With Melinda, conversations had become purely functional: bills, schedules, household chores. With Jennifer, I felt like the man I used to be before marriage consumed my identity. But the real shock was waiting for me later. I started noticing small things that should have raised red flags. Jennifer always seemed to know when I was having problems with Melinda, even before I told her. She would ask specific questions about my wife's schedule, her work patterns. At the time, I thought she was just being considerate, making sure we wouldn't get caught. Jennifer also seemed unusually interested in my company's corporate events. She would ask about previous parties, who attended, whether spouses were invited. I found it odd for someone so new to the company, but I dismissed it as enthusiasm for fitting in with the team. 2 weeks ago, the company organized a corporate party. Melinda rarely attended such events, but this time she unexpectedly agreed to come. I was nervous but excited to show her my colleagues and introduce Jennifer as just another employee. I had practiced casual conversations in my head, planning how to act natural around both women. The party was held at an upscale restaurant downtown. The atmosphere was festive, with soft jazz music and elegant decorations. I wore my best suit, and Melinda looked stunning in a black dress I hadn't seen before. She seemed unusually cheerful, almost excited, which surprised me given her recent mood. The evening of the party, I put on my best navy suit, the one Melinda had bought me for our 5th anniversary, back when she still cared about how I looked. When she emerged from our bedroom, I was stunned. She wore a sleek black cocktail dress that I had never seen before, one that showed off her figure in ways that reminded me why I had fallen in love with her in the first place. Her hair was styled differently too, swept up in an elegant chignon that made her neck look graceful and sophisticated. "You look incredible," I said, meaning it completely. For a moment, I felt a pang of guilt about Jennifer, about the betrayal I was planning to continue right under my wife's nose. "Thank you," Melinda replied, but there was something in her eyes, a glitter of anticipation that seemed out of proportion for a corporate party she had reluctantly agreed to attend. We took a taxi to the Millennium Club, and during the ride, Melinda was unusually chatty. She asked questions about my coworkers, wanted to know their names, their roles, their personalities. She seemed genuinely interested in learning about the people I spent my days with, which was so different from her usual indifference to my work life. "Tell me about the new people," she said, applying lipstick in her compact mirror. "Anyone interesting joined the company recently?" "There's Jennifer in marketing," I replied, trying to keep my voice casual. "She's been there about 3 months now. Very professional, good at her job." "Jennifer," Melinda repeated thoughtfully. "Pretty name. I look forward to meeting her." Something in her tone made me glance at her sharply, but her expression was innocent, almost playful. I attributed my nervousness to the situation. Of course I would be on edge about my wife meeting my mistress. When we arrived at the club, the party was already in full swing. The venue was spectacular: floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, crystal chandeliers, and a live jazz trio playing soft background music. My colleagues were mingling with drinks in hand, and the atmosphere was relaxed and festive. I immediately spotted Jennifer by the bar, and my heart nearly stopped. She looked absolutely stunning in a red dress that hugged her curves perfectly, her blonde hair cascading over one shoulder. She was talking to someone from accounting, laughing at something they said, but when she saw me, her eyes lit up with that special warmth reserved just for me. Then she noticed Melinda beside me, and I saw her expression change slightly: surprise, nervousness, maybe even fear. But she recovered quickly, excusing herself from her conversation and walking toward us with a confident smile. This was the moment I had been dreading and anticipating. I would finally see my two worlds collide. I approached them with confidence, ready to play the role of the faithful husband introducing his wife to a colleague. "Melinda, this is Jennifer, our new employee from the marketing department." And then something incredible happened. Melinda smiled and said, "Oh, we already know each other." "Very well, actually." Jennifer turned pale as a sheet. I didn't understand what was happening. My mind raced through possibilities. Maybe they had met at the hospital? Maybe Jennifer had been a patient there? But the way Melinda said "very well" suggested something much deeper. Know each other? From where? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Melinda moved closer to Jennifer and placed her hand on her shoulder with an intimacy that made my stomach drop. "Jen and I have been seeing each other for 6 months. Isn't that right, darling?" The world around me began to spin. The music seemed to fade, the chatter of other party guests became a distant hum. Jennifer lowered her eyes and nodded, unable to look at me. "I'm sorry, Luke. I didn't know how to tell you." It turned out that my wife and my mistress had been a couple long before I started my relationship with Jennifer. Melinda had known about us from the very beginning. She had even encouraged Jennifer to get closer to me. I was the unwitting third party in their relationship, not the cheating husband I thought I was. But the biggest shock was still ahead. "Why?" was the only thing I could say, my voice barely a whisper. Melinda laughed, a sound that chilled me to the bone. "Because I needed evidence of your infidelity for the divorce. Jennifer helped me gather it. All your meetings, messages, photos, everything is documented." The pieces began falling into place. Every secret rendezvous, every stolen kiss, every whispered confession of love had been recorded, photographed, documented. Jennifer hadn't just been my lover, she had been bait, a trap that Melinda had set for me. "You planned all of this?" I asked, feeling like the ground was disappearing beneath my feet. "Of course. I've wanted a divorce for a long time, but I needed a good reason. You're such an upstanding family man in everyone's eyes. Who would believe you're capable of cheating?" The manipulation was breathtaking in its complexity. Melinda had orchestrated every detail, from Jennifer's hiring at my company to their chance encounters that led to our affair. I had been dancing to her tune without even knowing there was music playing. Jennifer stood silently beside her, not meeting my eyes. I could see tears forming, but I wasn't sure if they were for me or for herself. "And you?" I turned to her, my voice cracking with emotion. "I needed the job," she whispered. "Melinda promised to help me get hired if I helped her. I didn't plan. I didn't want to hurt you. But that wasn't everything. The real truth was even worse." Melinda pulled out her phone and showed me photos and videos of my meetings with Jennifer. Everything was recorded from angles that left no doubt about my infidelity. There were pictures of us kissing in my car, videos of us entering hotels, screenshots of our text messages where I professed my love for Jennifer and complained about my marriage. "Tomorrow my lawyer files for divorce. You won't get anything, no house, no car, nothing. All your friends and family will learn about your affair. I've already sent copies of these photos to some people." I felt my life crumbling into pieces. Everything I had built over the years disappeared in one moment. The house we had bought together, the friends we had made as a couple, the reputation I had carefully maintained, all of it would be gone. "Why do you hate me so much?" I asked, genuinely confused. Melinda became serious for a moment. "I don't hate you, Luke. I'm just bored with you. You're dull, predictable. I want to start a new life and you're an obstacle." Her words hit harder than any accusation of hatred would have. To be hated would mean I still mattered to her in some way. To be dismissed as boring, as an inconvenience, that was somehow worse. Then I made a decision that surprised even myself. Instead of begging, instead of arguing, instead of creating a scene, I calmly took out my phone and took several photos of Melinda and Jennifer standing together, embracing. Then I walked over to the microphone that was being used for announcements at the party. "Attention everyone," I said into the microphone, my voice carrying across the restaurant. "I want to share some joyful news. My wife Melinda has found love with our employee Jennifer. They make a wonderful couple." The hall fell silent. Everyone was staring at us. Melinda was in shock. She hadn't expected this reaction from me. She had planned for tears, for anger, for desperate pleas. She hadn't planned for public acceptance. "I sincerely congratulate them and wish them happiness." I continued. "I also want to announce that I'm resigning from the company and moving to California, where I've been offered a new position." This was true. A week ago I had indeed received a job offer, but I had declined it because of my family. Now it was my chance to start over, to escape the elaborate trap that had been set for me. Melinda ran up to me, her face flushed with anger. "What are you doing? You're ruining everything." "On the contrary," I replied calmly. "I'm doing what I should have done long ago. I'm freeing both of us from this fake life." The next day, I submitted my resignation, packed my things, and drove to Los Angeles. I signed the divorce papers without argument, giving Melinda all our property. Let her have the house, the furniture, the life insurance policies. I wanted nothing that reminded me of our marriage. But the real surprise was yet to come. A month later, I received a call from Jennifer. She was crying. "Luke, I'm so sorry. Melinda used me. She never really loved me. It was all a game to her." It turned out that after my departure, Melinda quickly lost interest in Jennifer. She had found herself a new partner, a wealthy man who could provide her with the luxurious life she craved. Jennifer was just another pawn in Melinda's game, discarded as soon as she was no longer useful. Jennifer was left with nothing, no job, since she had quit along with me, no Melinda who had abandoned her, and with the guilt of what she had done to me. "I deserved this," she said through tears. "I knew what I was doing was wrong, but I convinced myself it was for love. I was so stupid." Maybe she was right. But I no longer felt anger or pity. I had started a new life in California and I was enjoying it. The sun shone brighter there, the air felt cleaner, and every day brought new possibilities instead of the same routine I had endured for years. My new job was challenging and rewarding. My colleagues respected my experience and appreciated my work ethic. I rented a small apartment near the beach and spent my evenings walking along the shore, something I had never had time for in my old life. The last time I saw Melinda was in court during the final divorce hearing. She looked triumphant, having received all our property. But in her eyes, I saw emptiness. The victory she had worked so hard to achieve seemed hollow now that she had it. When we were leaving the courthouse, she approached me. "Don't you regret it?" she asked. "Regret what?" I replied. "Losing me." I looked at her for the last time. She was still beautiful, still the woman I had once loved more than anything in the world. But now I could see what had always been there, the coldness, the calculation, the complete lack of empathy. "Melinda, I lost you a long time ago. I just didn't notice." I turned and walked away without looking back. The sun was shining on the street and I felt free for the first time in many years. 6 months later, I received another call, this time from a mutual friend back in Chicago. Melinda's new relationship had ended badly. The wealthy man she had chosen had turned out to be married himself, and when his wife found out about the affair, she had made Melinda's life miserable. The house I had given up in the divorce had to be sold to pay legal fees from the messy situation. Jennifer, meanwhile, had moved back to her hometown and was working at a small marketing firm. She had sent me a letter apologizing again and wishing me well. I didn't respond, there was nothing left to say. Now I live in California, work for a successful company, and have new friends. I've even started dating again, a kind woman named Sarah who works as a teacher. She knows my story and doesn't judge me for it. She appreciates honesty and genuine emotion, things that were missing from my marriage for so long. Sometimes I think about what happened, but without regret. That story taught me the most important thing. Sometimes the biggest betrayal can become the greatest gift of fate. It forced me to examine my life, to realize that I had been living someone else's dream instead of my own. Melinda got what she wanted, freedom and property. But she lost much more than she could have imagined. She lost the one person who had truly loved her, who had been willing to build a life with her. Now she's alone, jumping from relationship to relationship, always looking for something she threw away. Jennifer learned that being someone's accomplice in betrayal doesn't lead to happiness. She thought she was fighting for love, but she was really just another victim in Melinda's elaborate scheme. And me? I lost everything material but found my real self. I learned that a life built on lies and compromises isn't worth living. I learned that sometimes you have to lose everything to find out what really matters. The betrayal that was supposed to destroy me actually saved me. It gave me the push I needed to leave a situation that was slowly killing my soul. It taught me to value honesty both in others and in myself. As I watched the sunset over the Pacific Ocean from my balcony, I realized that I'm grateful for what happened. Not because I enjoyed the pain, but because it led me to a better place. Sometimes the worst thing that can happen to you is also the best thing. Thank you for watching the video to the end. Maybe YouTube will no longer offer you my channel, so subscribe to it by clicking subscribe on the right under the video to receive new interesting stories. Also on the right of the video there is a playlist with other interesting stories that you can listen to, and you can also write in the comments what stories you would like to see on the channel.